Good morning, everyone, and thanks for being here. We know you have other selections, other sessions that are interesting, so thanks for being here. My name is Perver Baran, and I am an associate professor and a faculty fellow in the Center for Geospatial Analytics. You are not able to hear? How about now? Maybe I should keep like, okay, great, thank you. I don't know, oh, you have that? Okay, anyway, I will keep this. So good morning, everyone. My name is Perver Baran, and I am an associate professor and a faculty fellow at the Center for Geospatial Analytics and an affiliated faculty member in the College of Design at NC State University. And before I pass the mic to Jim Alberg, I would like to introduce the other members of the team that worked on this project from the center. And they are Makiko Shukunobe, who is a research associate within the center, and Reza Amindarbari, who is a PhD student in College of Design, as well as in the Department of Forestry and Environmental Resources with focus on geospatial analytics. So works closely with the center and College of Design. And now to Jim, who is going to introduce his team as well as give a little bit background information about the project.
Excellent. So my name is Jim Albert, City of Raleigh, GIS and Emerging Technology Manager. I worked on the project with Reynolds McFarlane and Mike Gudekinst. They were both on the data preparation and application development side. So really the whole auspice of this is, has anybody had the experience of driving down the street and either seeing an empty lot or a hole in the ground and very curiously thought to themselves, I wonder what's going to be there in 6 months, a year? Can you raise your hand? Am I the only weird one? Good, good. So super curious, right? And so I'm going to set the stage. So in 2016, the City of Raleigh went through a massive rezoning effort called the Unified Development Ordinance, where large tracts of lands were rezoned. And as you can imagine, citizens and constituents had a lot of anxiety and concerns about what that meant for them and their land values and all those sorts of things in general. And then specifically, what did that mean for density and height in downtown Raleigh? And what was that going to look like? And we were talking about stories and feet, and there was, again, a lot of anxiety, a lot of concern, potentially a lot of misinformation. And me personally, 40 stories and 400 stories are the same exact thing. I know what the PNC tower looks like. Put a building next to that. I need some context to help me just understand, is that tall, is that not tall? So scale is really important. So Next Century Cities had an award in 2016 that we partnered with NC State to apply for, which was to potentially build a collaborative platform that would allow constituents to have that conversation in their homes, right? And start to understand what those things meant in the comfort of their living room. So a little bit of background on City of Raleigh, GIS. So a lot of folks are doing GIS. We're doing a lot of things. It's actually really impressive how kind of embedded GIS is into our kind of all of our business processes across all of the different departments. And so this kind of describes, we have infiltrated everywhere, right? So whether it be parking or utilities, public safety, et cetera, I really think that the business units believe that GIS is a really valuable and useful technology in helping driving the business. So again, going back to that scenario I just described, 3D is not new. So if you go to some really, really big cities, sometimes they have rooms like this size where they have like balsam wood models at scale of their city. And if you want to do development, they actually ask you to hire a carpenter to like design a model of your building, and you come in and you put it in the model, and then a bunch of really smart people walk around and say, oh, that's good or not good, etc. We've done that in the City of Raleigh at a very, very small scale. But right over the last 10, 15 years, there's been this opportunity to leverage digital technology to do that. So great. This is, circa 1999 or 2000, right? So desktop tools with ArcScene and Cesium open source technology gave us some ability to start to model an urban environment in 3D. Right? I don't know if you've been to a couple of sessions today where really you're finding out that the state of North Carolina is really a leader in data acquisition, and 3D is no different. So we're lucky enough to be able to leverage some of the data that was collected by the state in 2015 to help seed a kind of an existing condition model. So, right, so now we fast forward to 2015, we're able to leverage some really powerful desktop tools to do really, really complex and sophisticated analysis in 3D. So, for instance, there's a tract of land just south of downtown where they were proposing doing like a city campus, right? And so wanted to kind of do some analysis. And so smart people on my team are able to use really, really powerful desktop tools, and in a couple of hours or potentially days can spin out like some shadow analysis, right? Very interesting, very cool. Unfortunately, there's like 7 people in the city who can do it, and unless those people have bandwidth, you can't, right? You just got to get in a queue. There's got to be a better way with the kind of ubiquitousness of technology to leverage kind of the web and allow, right, empower other folks to be able to do that.
Okay, thanks, Jim. So in addition to some of the issues that Jim mentioned, actually, I would like to mention a couple of limitations with the traditional zoning plans that are actually part of the equation here. So as everyone knows, cities or towns' zoning plans are represented by 2-dimensional maps that look something like this, and this is one of the base zoning maps from City of Raleigh, Tile 31. And a number of areas actually are dedicated as mixed-use areas. With 2-dimensional maps, there are a number of limitations. It is expected that actually interested members of the community will look at these maps and comment on the public policies by attending meetings or public hearings. Well, there are a number of issues with this. Not everyone can attend public meetings and hearings. Even if we have 3-dimensional physical models, there is restrictions. Some people do have time constraints. Some people have physical constraints. So just access to actually opportunity to provide feedback is restricted or limited. And second, it is very challenging really to explore all aspects of the plan in this 2-dimensional realm. Much of the information is actually left out unexplored because it's very tough to interpret and understand these maps. Like here, you see a number of areas dedicated for mixed use, the downtown mixed use, office mixed use, residential or commercial mixed use, and trying to imagine what this may look like in 3rd dimension. And particularly if you consider that many of the zoned areas actually allow for plethora of different alternatives to be developed within that framework. So with this, the overall purpose of this project, actually the award that the City of Raleigh got, was to develop an interactive 3-dimensional map that is available on the web to anyone at any time. So this, in a sense, revolutionizes the way citizens engage in decision making. So, and I will sit now because I will try to demonstrate this live, and hopefully the internet will cooperate with me today. So let me just move this here. So we developed an application using Esri's ArcGIS JavaScript 4.3 version, and the prototype application that currently we have actually starts with a number of panes that lead us to a development area of interest. So let me just move to this and see how this will work. So this is the site that currently is available from City of Raleigh's GitHub. So this is the entry point, and the user now selects one of the areas. And this is our prototype application. The study area is around Nash Square, if you are familiar with. The data is pulled out, the base data is pulled out from City of Raleigh's ArcGIS online environment, 2-dimensional data such as parcels, roads, and then the 3D models of the buildings are also from the City of Raleigh database. We have here an accordion type of menu that allows user actually to get some factual information about the planned area. However, most important actually functions are here at the toolbar. Let's look to the Explore Scenario button, which is actually the hallmark of the entire application. And I will go and turn the texture building model layer, because always when we look to our development, actually, it's very important to look within the context in which it is being developed, actually, what it is being proposed. So the texture buildings are the existing buildings, and the color buildings are just hypothetical new developments. Imagine that these are buildings that are being proposed, and don't assume that we are going to build something on a square, but these are just kind of hypothetical situations. So if I go back to About Building, and if I click to this building, then I am pulling out zoning information that is associated with the parcel on which this building is located. So this particular parcel has mixed use, 20-story maximum with shop fronts. And we are pulling some information about the dimensions of the building as well. If I go to Explore tab, it's important to know that actually we said that this is an interactive tool that allows the user actually to change, modify experimentally the developments that are being proposed. So if I do have this building, I can move the building. I can add new building. That's okay, just a submit. So this building appears, I can again move that building around. But more importantly, I actually can modify, play with dimensions of the building. I can rotate. And I indicated that most of the plans, even the 3D models, do not allow actually for particularly visualization or understanding how the blend of space use happens vertically within the building. So here user has actually opportunity to explore different blends of retail, office, and residential. So red is retail, office is blue, and residential is yellow. So this particular building has 1 floor of retail, but I can increase it to 3. I can have 6 or 5 floors or 6 floors of office, and maybe another 5 floors of residential. So this is very kind of, I think, one of the hallmarks of the entire application. And even more important, as we are actually modifying the number of floors by space use or the dimensions of the building, we get actually feedback on the change. And there was some issue with actually there should be some numbers here under current situation, and then what is the new scenario and what is the change. So if I do this, actually you see the numbers change on fly. So the user can get actually immediate feedback of some important aspects about the proposed development, being that change in area or volume. And if we would like to provide something to include in a report, we have this total change report button, where we can get actually the distribution of land or space uses in the current scenario and how this compares to our proposed scenario. So it really allows the user to get some comparison between what if scenario with the current condition. How we are doing with time? We are still okay. And Jim mentioned about shadow analysis that is actually done on desktops, but here with the application, the user actually can explore the change of shadow or get feedback how this proposed building actually may influence the surrounding, and we can actually look to any time or day of the year. It was interesting, last night I was trying to see if the internet works in my room, and everything was dark. I said, something happened with the application. Of course, it's midnight, there is no sun. So So yes, if you use this actually after like 6 p.m., I suggest that you change this so you can see the application. Otherwise, everything will be dark and say something is happening. There is a bug in the system. So with this, I think.
Be willing to just just do some 3D navigation.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So we actually can certainly use the standard functions that go with the widget. We can go in and out. I mean, zoom in and out. We can change this. And certainly, you can even try to get to a little bit close to street level view. That's not exactly, but hopefully down the road, we have been thinking about connecting this to IVE. So as soon as we do these changes, to be able to see actually how this new proposed development may look like at street level, which is something that people experience as they work throughout the city, manipulate. So yes, there is possibility to zoom in and out, zoom out. And this tool is not designed to provide platform actually to design entire city. We never do that, but there are certain spots, areas that actually are where we work and try to redevelop or propose new development. So this is a great tool actually to be able to do that. Now, this is the prototype application that is, as I said, accessible from City of Raleigh's GitHub site. And is there anything else that you would like? Okay. So let's go back to the presentation here. Working with a couple of students after this prototype development, we actually expanded the functionality to be able to save and upload previously saved scenario. And this allows people to be able to see different scenarios next to each other. Let's say if a developer has 3 different alternatives for certain site, and we save these scenarios and then upload them to different screens that are displayed next to each other, so user can see this as well. And this is a video actually showing that application. So again, same thing, we zoom in, we can pan. And now in the explore scenario, there is this data upload and download button. So we start with fresh, no buildings at all. So we add a building, we change the dimension of the building. We manipulate the number of floors that we are interested in. We move it, then we add another building. I'm finishing up. And okay, so let's say this is a proposed model. Then I go to data. I click download. This will be saved as a CSV file that grabs the coordinates of the centroids of the buildings. And here you do not see, but this file is being saved. So now if I would like to start over to upload that file, I go start with fresh, I go to upload, select the file, and then boom, the buildings are there. So actually you can upload previously saved scenario. These were some backup slides just in case the video didn't work. So this application, actually, this cooperation that we had with City of Raleigh, and Esri also was involved certain periods and helped us a little bit with navigating the logic of how the application will look like. But this collaboration between NC State and City of Raleigh were honored with a joint special achievement in GIS award at the Esri user conference in 2018 or last summer. And here we see picture of Jim receiving the award from Jack Kermert. And with that, I'm finishing up. You can access actually the application if you would like to play with it from City of Raleigh's GitHub. And one thing that I would like to say, actually the application is currently, certainly when we start, we zoom to Nash Square, but really you can use this anywhere in the United States. You can just move your map to that area. You may not have the 3-dimensional map, but if you just would like to play with the concepts of thinking about the massing and the heights and changing land uses in the vertical dimension, then you are free to play. And the code is open source code for the application that's also available from Raleigh's GitHub location. So here are the links. And we'll take any questions.
Would this be a tool that developers might be able to use in the future, like loading up site plans or something? Where I work over at the town of Perrysville, we're trying to get like more of the collaborative sense with our developers than back and forth. And I think that would be an awesome tool for them to be able to use if they could load up their site plans to come in and show us.
One idea was actually to communicate development ideas to public. One is for public to be engaged, to be able to play around concepts in their surroundings, but also definitely when a developer comes and has an idea about certain site, this is a way that they can upload. Currently, we do not have that function, but certainly that could be something that could be expanded in terms of functionality, where the developer uploads their designs and they are displayed within the context.
One of the challenges that we would have is like digital submission standards,
right.
Which is, we don't have enough time at the entire conference to talk about that. But
I know you mentioned that it shows the current zoning and you're able to change the number of stories or whatever you're trying to mess around with for your concept. Does it let you go outside of the zoning requirements, or does it kind of tell you to stop at a certain point?
Good question. Actually, here we do not have. We are thinking to restrict, to capture the zoning of each parcel. So when someone suggests new development within the parcel to be restricted, we kind of opted to get out of that. However, for downtown Raleigh, let's say the maximum floors allowed are 40 floors. So if this adds up more to 40, like 41, 42, 40 plus, then the system will say, okay, you need to be within 40. The buildings are not attached to the parcels. Initially, we were considering actually to work with parcels where you also talk about setbacks, but this is way complicated in terms of managing. There are different types of parcels. Not everything is rectangular, corners, and then setbacks are different, front setback, side setback, back setback. So it's too complicated. These are complicated concepts from planning purposes. So this is kind of easy tool that will allow user to use. That's where we actually decided to have application where the buildings are just objects actually in space here, three-dimensional objects, and they're identified just by centroid. And then the dimensions are also integrated.
But we did have a lot of early on discussions about what are the technology capabilities at the time and what's feasible in kind of the time frame given kind of the size of the effort that we wanted to go. But we'd had long conversations about setbacks, step backs, all of the kind of details around the zoning that we don't accommodate here, but the idea is at some point the technology will support the ability to accommodate that.
Yes, our team members Reza and Makiko were actually hosted at Esri's Landlord's office for their prototype and application development office for about a week, and had these conversations in terms of their geodesign team as well, just as a concept, what is something that may work and what is currently possible with the team. So that was the direction that we decided to go to.
And I have a quick question. So with proposal of new buildings, I know a lot of people might be concerned with views, but is there any way to, I know you were talking about zooming in and out, but to actually kind of drop a pin on maybe a new proposed building and be able to kind of shift 360 views of what it would look like if you were in the building on the outskirts or vice versa?
Mm-hmm. Interesting concept. Yes, we had this question. We talked about this. It's a kind of just, I guess, currently the tool doesn't do that. It was a very restricted time and resource kind of tool that we developed. We actually expanded the even expectations with this project, but that's a great idea.
And we, all of these things, the exciting thing for us in a very nerdy way was, hey, can we pull this off in a way that adds this much value to share with community stakeholders, et cetera, to get this feedback that we just got, which we started to get, which is be careful what you wish for, right? Because now, oh my God, that's really hard to do. But like viewshed, kind of all that sort of stuff, complex zoning, transportation modeling, trying to generate the number of trips here. We're talking about what's a way that we can update this 3D model, the existing conditions, because Raleigh's changing so quickly and rapidly. If you come in here and a building that is built isn't in here, maybe you don't have a lot of confidence that the tool is accurate. So we're talking about all those things. I think we're over time.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.